I've got two topics that I want to talk about from last night's SmackDown. But the very first thing, the reason you probably clicked on this video, let's talk about Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk. So last night on SmackDown, we waited 2.5 hours of, I'm going to be honest, a pretty boring SmackDown. A pretty lackluster SmackDown, if I'm being honest. I think the last couple of shows in Europe have been fantastic, but this one felt like a little bit of a letdown, I'll be honest with you guys. But we waited 2.5 hours, if not more, for Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk to come out. So first thing, Roman Reigns came out. He cut his usual acknowledge me promo and then complained about Seth and Punk. Then Seth Rollins came out. He stood apart and said, this is between me and you, not even Punk. And then Punk came out and Paul Heyman looked absolutely annoyed / terrified / like he didn't want this to happen. I don't know what emotions Paul Heyman was feeling because that man had so many different facial expressions throughout this segment. But finally, we got to the point where all three men are in and around the ring. And I'm thinking, okay, let them cook each other now. We've seen the brawling. We've seen the fighting. Let them cook each other. Let's enhance the story a bit now. Now that you're all three in the ring. Because I'm going to be honest, I don't know when we're going to get all three in the ring again. Roman Reigns comes and goes when he wants. And like, Punk wasn't on Raw last week, it was just Seth, or earlier this week, it was just Seth. So, when are we going to get all three in the ring again? I don't know. So, I was like, let's take this opportunity, cook each other on the mic, do something on the mic, enhance the story a bit. But we got a little bit of a promo from Punk. He's mentioned the favor that Paul Heyman owes him, and he says we'll get to that later. Then he thanks Paul Heyman for delivering Roman Reigns to him on a silver platter. Roman turns to Paul Heyman as if he's going to be like, what does he mean by that? And then Punk attacks him. And then a brawl starts between all three men. And they just fight it out. Security come out. At one point, all three men get the opportunity to point at the WrestleMania sign, basically insinuating they want a triple threat match with all of them. Now, that segment was fine. Okay, I get it. We had to establish the main event, or the main event. It might main event night one. But we had to establish the match at WrestleMania. Fine. But I feel like they're never going to get the chance to really talk through the story. We just need one segment like that. One segment where they cook each other, and at the end it breaks out into a brawl. That is fine. But it feels like week in and week out we're just getting brawls with a lot of these stories because Triple H is really trying to enhance the violence or enhance the drama behind it. I mean, the Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte Flair brawl. Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso. Jey Uso and Gunther ends in some sort of altercation every week. Most likely with Jey Uso being submitted or choked out, if that's correct. That's what's happening there every week. Who else is having brawls? Obviously, Seth and Punk have had their couple brawls. It just feels like everybody's just fighting it out, and the stories are being enhanced by that, and not by some of the things they say or the actual story behind it. But that's fine. That's neither here nor there. I just felt in this one, this was the opportunity to get something going, especially because we waited 2.5 hours to see this. And like I mentioned, a very boring 2.5 hours. Now, I do get they have 4 weeks of SmackDown left, 4 weeks of TV left for that matter, so at least 8 shows before WrestleMania, and they can have a promo in between there. But I don't know maybe the dates have been announced and I am wrong, but I don't know what the likelihood of us seeing all three men within the next 8 weeks is going to be. And I mean, we don't need a promo the week or two before. That's when you should be brawling it out, in my opinion. The go home show and the week before. Brawl it out, build the suspense. Now we're ready to fight. You know, that type of story. I don't know. I just feel like every time they brawl, it makes it less likely that they're going to ever dive deep into the story. Because now, next week, can you just cut a promo? No. You fought for the last 6 weeks. You're going to have to brawl it out again. So that's a little bit disappointing in my view. This feud already alone doesn't sit well with me because I think you've got so many potential matches there. Punk versus Seth in a pay-per-view match. That's the first thing that we're missing. That's the first thing that we didn't get. Punk versus Roman. When's that going to happen? Seth versus Punk. Seth versus Roman. When's that going to happen? You know, there's so many potential matches that they could do there, and then they're having a triple threat. instead. Which, sure, we can't really complain about having a triple threat match between some of the biggest guys in the company. Like, I feel kind of privileged or what's the word I'm looking for? Spoiled to be complaining about that, if I'm being honest. But at the same time, I know there's better stories that are WrestleMania worthy. Now, do I think they're going to run with Seth versus Roman next year at WrestleMania if Rock is not ready for that match? Most probably. Most probably, if I'm being honest. And then all of this is said for nothing. But what happens if they don't do it then? Is this one of those matches where it feels like they might leave it for too late? I guess that's just something time will have to tell us, I guess. And I saw some people saying, should this match have some sort of stipulation or some sort of something on the line for this match, like a number one contenders match of some sorts. And I think, sure, you can do that, but we don't have to say it's a number one contenders match. It can be a subtle thing that everybody knows, but it's not said, if you know what I'm trying to say. Like, the winner of this is obviously going to get a push now to a world title opportunity, but it doesn't need to be said, if that makes sense. Kind of just let it be accepted by everyone. I think that is a fair way to do it. Because if you start saying this is a number one contenders match, it's more about that than the blood feud that they're having. So let's not do that either. So I want to hear from you guys. What is your thoughts on this feud as a whole? Were you disappointed by last night? Oh, and by the way, we only got like 10 minutes of them last night as well. So we waited 2.5 hours, and we got like 10 minutes of Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk. I thought that was also a little bit disappointing. But let me know, what do you think of this feud? Are you disappointed by it? Are you enjoying it? Do you feel it should have been singles matches at Mania? Let me know about that. The second thing I wanted to talk about was Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton. Because, I'm going to be honest, I wanted Charlotte Flair to come back, and I thought she was going to win the Rumble. I'm not saying I wanted her to win the Rumble. I thought it was going to happen, so I was like, okay, I accept it. Let's run with it. But, yeah, she ended up winning the Rumble and chose Tiffany Stratton. And I was like, okay, that could be a good, new, fun, exciting match. But all Charlotte Flair has done is bury Tiffany Stratton as a character and as a champion. That's all she's done. And I don't think that's the right way to approach this match. How are you just going to bury your champion? How are you just going to bury this match by acting like this person is not on your level? I understand it if it was a Bianca Belair. She has all the credibility in the world to handle this from Charlotte Flair. People are going to be like, but Charlotte Flair is talking rubbish here. This is Bianca Belair. But when you say it about Tiffany, who still has a lot to do in this business and is a future star of this business, you're kind of burying her. You're kind of acting like we shouldn't think anything of this match now. Now we should think, okay, it's Charlotte's to win easy. Let's move on. And there's a high likelihood Charlotte's going to win anyway. And in that promo segment last night, Charlotte cooked Tiffany. Charlotte cooked her, but not in the right ways. In the ways that made Tiffany look like nothing to Charlotte. Which, like I said, if it's someone established, that's fine because they can hold their own. But Tiffany does not have the credits in the bank to hold her own. So she buried Tiffany and she buried this match before it's even happened. That's how I feel about the Charlotte Flair Tiffany Stratton thing. Charlotte's gimmick is I am better than everyone else. But that doesn't mean you need to bury everyone else in the process. The whole idea of pro wrestling promos is, I'm going to put you over, but establish myself and put myself over at the same time. Think of any Paul Heyman promo. He will talk about the challenger in such a good way first. He'll say, Cody Rhodes has heart. He has the dogfights in him. He is whatever the case is. And then he'll go on to his guy. And then he'll say, but Roman Reigns is this and this and this. So he'll first put over the challenger, and then he'll put over his guy even more. Whenever Cody Rhodes cuts a promo, he puts over his challenger first, and then he puts himself over, but he says, but I am the champion, I am this. That's how you cut a pro wrestling promo. You don't always need to cook the other guy, and I think that is the John Cena effect. Everyone thinks you got to be John Cena and cook the other guy to the point where he can't come back, and we've seen how that's damaged some people. Austin Theory and countless others in the past. It does not need to always happen. That's just how I feel. So that's my thoughts on Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair, and that is my thoughts on the Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins feud. You guys let me know what you thought of these feuds, what you thought of SmackDown last night, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Peace.